Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to APU's Enterprise session today, entitled Enterprise Architecture. A very good evening to fellow colleagues, beloved students, and a little bit about APU CEO and CTO series before we start. So APU CEO and CTO series is an event organized by Enterprise at APU. At Enterprise at APU, we are building a robust platform for students to explore their entrepreneurial ambitions and to bring ideas into reality. And with that in mind, Enterprise at APU brings together experienced entrepreneurs, mentors, investors, educators, corporate figures to share their insights and experience with students and academicians alike. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Eric Ngai, a professional banker. So before I continue and speak more about Mr. Eric Ngai, please welcome Mr. Eric Ngai with me. Hi, Eric. A very good evening to you.
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah.
Hi, Eric. Welcome to the session today. So I'm just going to do a brief introduction about you, Eric, and I will leave the remaining to you to introduce yourself and tell us about your position as a professional banker and an enterprise architect. So let me just go in a little bit about Mr. Eric. So Mr. Eric is an individual with passion and strong beliefs in business and technology alignment. This is to ensure better use of technology and enable business innovation. 25 years of working experience with technology in industries including conglomerate, startup, IT MNC, Eric has gained a strong knowledge in running technology in business. As the CEO of an IT system integrator and software house with 100 employees in Hanoi and also Da Nang, Vietnam, and technical corporate in the area of enterprise architecture, big data, mobility, agile development, cloud computing, application infrastructure, connectivity and integration, business process management, system integration, project management, project implementation, software methodology, and application development. So I would really appreciate this session and your support. All viewers, thank you very much for being with us today. I'm Mira Iswaran, and I would like to introduce uh, and pass the session over now to Mr. Eric Ngai.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Mira. Hi,
So a little bit about yourself, Eric.
hi, my name is Eric Ngai. Also, fortunately, I also graduated from APU. So back in
Wow.
1995, I was with APU doing my diploma in computing and IT. And at the time, APU still called APIT Asia Pacific Institute of Information Technology. Okay. Then I did my training program. From APIT, I go to Australia Monash and finish off my bachelor degree. And come back to Malaysia, I started with my software development job and then catch the .com time. Then I joined the Java development uh, army. Okay, get myself into a Java architect and things like that, working with Hewlett Packard and Sun Microsystem. Then after that, along the way, I worked with conglomerate like Tanjong Group and also big MNC like IBM Malaysia before. And now I'm with CIMB Bank as the enterprise architect. So throughout the years, I also get myself an MBA with Nottingham University and acquire myself with more business knowledge. And during this time with the banks, and of course the bank will encourage people, and they do have a KPI that want the staff to be certified as a professional banker, so that you don't just do your job, IT or anything. You also train in the way that a professional banker and things should do. You should be ethical, you should be sustainable, and all these things. To do a bank is just not just making money and that kind of things. So that's about me. Now with CIMB about 3.5 years. So I've been already 20 over 5 years in the IT industry. Okay. So can we share the screen? Yeah.
Sure.
Um, Mira, I go into my topic, enterprise architecture. Or you have any other questions?
I would like to ask you, Eric, to tell us a little bit about what enterprise architecture is. This is one of the first times I'm actually coming across this terminology. So I'm very interested to find out. I know enterprise and I know architecture. So how are we
Hmm.
linking both of these together?
Okay. In the earlier days of software architecture and enterprise architecture, when you hear about the word architect, you thought this is building a house and building a bridge and
Exactly.
things like that. Especially when you have friends that's doing civil engineering, they will be very pissed off with somebody using the word architect in their titles. And heck, he's not a civil engineering; he's just a software IT guy, right? So um, maybe we just bring up my slide. I can just um,
Sure.
use that to talk about. Yeah. So in any big companies that or even small company, enterprise architecture is about knowing what you have in your house, right? It can be as low as infrastructure and technology, applications, and can be as high as the company strategy and the business capabilities, right? All these things is about architecting your business and architecting your IT and application. So it's not just a discipline of IT or technology. In the field of enterprise architecture, we do have people purely from business. They are the business architect. They also the enterprise architect. There are people purely knowing about how the business work. They know the business capabilities and the business flow and logic. So you need all these people together to form the whole thing, to gel the whole thing together, right? So it's also about the key concept as the we do not have unlimited time and money, right? So given in a year, you only have certain budget and time to achieve certain business goal, right? The CEO of the company every year they will say that I got this plan for the next 2 years or 3 years. That's where we all have to be aligned together from the top to the bottom, and knowing that what is the business KPI and what is the business capability we want to achieve or deliver, and hence that where is the investment and where is the IT that we should be focusing on, right? So if you're from an IT perspective and they say that today, this year or next year, we want to build more campuses and just we want to have all more students that be able to connect remotely anywhere from wherever they are. So if knowing that as the business capabilities, then we should be looking at things that like VPN, virtual private network, or remove desktop and all these connectivity things, or BYOD, bring your own device. So we know that where is the area that the focus should be in and the money should be spent on. So this is an understanding on the business, and we call it business to IT alignment. So not the business do whatever they want to do, the IT do whatever they want to do, and IT think this is the right thing to do, but right thing to do might not be must be aligned with what is the business goal and objective. Because at the end of the day, the business must be making money, profit, then only everyone has a job, right? Otherwise, that just spending money and building things that is not relevant at the point of time, it will be not a very profitable way to do things, right? So when we talk about enterprise architecture, it is actually also a tools for you to joining together. Is also a notation of drawing diagram. It's also a group of people that with the necessary professional and knowledge, experience, and skill to do the job. And it's also a mindset. I had one time when I did my MBA at the time, I did a thesis, and I asked 8 to 10 CIO and asked them, what is the value of enterprise architecture to you as a CIO and to the company? And they say yes, you need to give them the necessary training, but not necessarily if you have a department, IT department of 100, 200 people, it's not necessarily that everyone will be the architect, right? Of doing the architect role, you not necessarily is a software architect or infrastructure architect, you might be doing other things, but the management team, the middle management team should employ and equip with the enterprise architecture mindset. The mindset of what we see here is that the top to bottom, the business to IT has to be aligned in such way that when you talk about to the business, if you're IT guy, you tell we do this, is actually can justify, have you save money, and it can bring your value, the business goal, get nearer to your business goal. And we ask them, should you do this or not? So when we debate, there must be a point of debate, right? A point of justification. That's how we work together. If you making fact and reason to things, then we have something in common to discuss, not fighting with each other. You are doing the wrong thing, I'm doing the wrong thing, then we are not going anywhere together.
That's really good, Eric. So I like the explanation and the hierarchy that you have shown us. And the word connected there tells us a lot about how each level is actually integrated with each other. And yeah, you can move on to your next part, Eric. Go ahead.
So just now I show a more simplified pyramid of things, right? So when you are in a companies like myself is now in CIB, we are, although second largest bank in Malaysia, but compared to a lot of companies like Google, AWS, Microsoft, and Standard Chartered, all these, we are still very, very small, right, compared to those people. But compared to a lot of people, we're still huge. And we are spending a few hundred millions of ringgit of project IT expenditure every year. And we'll be busy reviewing and approving and implementing project every year. So there's a lot of things going on, right? So with this, what is your enterprise architecture principle or IT principle that you have to hold on to do work, right? Not just Mr. A, B, C, D come in and tell you that, ask you that I want to do this, I want to spend 10 million, 20 million to do this. Then you or the bosses as the governance and the management of the company, how do you review the proposal and the idea from the people, right? So if you know the business, the company objective and company KPI or direction, and then you can challenge them, is this aligned? Is this along the way? And of course, you can ask them, have you planned for it? Have you budgeted for it, right? Have you have the calculated return of investment and break-even things to do certain things, not just spending 10 million, but you don't expect any return and everything called it strategy. Unfortunately, nowadays the CEO is not so kind. They everything spend money have to be answerable. Because the CEO not answerable, then the shareholder and you and me, whoever bought the share, will fire them, right? So it's the
That's
same
right.
thing. And also when we look at, we as technical people, when we want to discuss on certain point, we must have fact, right? We must know what we have. If you're going to spend 10, 100 million, 200 million of IT expenditure every year, you imagine after 10 years how much thing you have, how many server you have, how many infrastructure application you have. In the banks, we can easily have few hundred thousand of few thousand of servers running around, maybe few hundred applications running around across different dealer, from consumer banking to wholesale banking to transaction banking. So all these things, there must be a way to capture the diagram, the system, what is connected to what, right? Which application, this application takes mobile banking. The mobile banking has how many servers, how many web server, app servers, and databases, right? And which data center that is sitting in? Where is the production environment? Where is the disaster recovery environments? Does it have HA high availabilities, right? And what is the service level agreement, or what is the downtime RTO, return time to objective or MTD? So how much downtime you can have, right? Failure. If you feel too long, you need to report to Bank Negara and they will give you a very expensive penalties of having a system not working well, right? So all these things we must have some kind of document. It's not for the sake of documenting, but we need this information to draw a picture and know the impact and know what's going on. Because if you force people to do diagram and all these things, the first thing is that no one would like to do all these things, but actually we want to do this because this is allow us to trace, X level of traceability. And one of the key things in EA is also that the idea is we know that everyone do not have unlimited time and effort and budget. So it's also we want to do enough, right? What is enough? What kind of diagram is enough? How many diagrams is enough, right? To know at least achieve certain objective, right? 10 diagram is definitely better than one diagram. So it depends that whether one diagram is telling you the story that is enough for you to make a judgment, right? So if you say that you're going to spend 10 million to do an IT project, is that asking you for 10 diagram to tell us more about the architecture? Is that too much? No, right? 10 diagram to ask for 10 millions. Even your father asks you ask your father to spend you 100 ringgit to buy something, they also ask you 100 reason why, right? So this is all about things, but of course, to the enterprise architecture, we are more looking at the business value, the capabilities, the high level system and things. But we will not go into the details of the IP address, the number of functions, the business flow diagram, and the database architecture, things like that. No, that is go down to the individual project team and implementation team. So the area of architect, there's many, but today we just focus on the enterprise architecture. So it's more on high level governance and to become an advisor to the senior management to tell them to work together with them what is the right thing to do. The big bosses might not be definitely not an IT grad, right? So they need help to advise them what is the good way to spend the money is, and they always have a thousand question why so expensive, why cannot be so agile, why you're doing so slow, that kind of stuff. Okay.
Right. Eric, it's very interesting that you mentioned, this discussion that takes place with the senior management team that you have. So, can I just ask you, how do you think an enterprise architect can actually contribute towards business sustainability of an organization? What's your level of intervention, your say, and your contribution to sustainability?
Um, for position like myself as an enterprise architect, because I do both sides. I mean, I've been a CTO and CEO of a IT firm before, and I also done my startup before. I also be the advisor doing acquisition, merchant acquisitions for startup IT company before. So I do have enough business knowledge and of course the IT knowledge. I was a programmer last time, right? So we do with the both thing together. When I talk to the senior management and some things, there's always, my role is always tell them what is the reasoning. Of course, we are giving not just advice, but give them the reason, right? To have things pro and cons. If you want to have this exercise, what is pro and cons? But at the end, you will give it as the decision. Boss, you make a decision. It's what you call informed decision. You have the necessary information to do the work. And what kind of information it will be myself and the IT team and the working level to find out all this information to give him the necessary information to make the judgment and the decisions, right? So all this is all about helping the director and helping the C level to make informed decision, right, with the necessary information.
Great. So moving on, do you face any challenges, especially within the bank, in implementing enterprise architecture and getting, a supportive team who is able to cope with the strategies and the strategy building and those areas that you mentioned earlier. Are there any challenges that you face?
I think let me share a bit on what we have nowadays in Malaysia in the landscape of enterprise architecture, right? So even in CMB, we only recently in the last couple of years we implemented our perpetual enterprise architecture repository and things like that. So we do have about 10 to 20 enterprise architects in the team just purely from enterprise architecture activities, right? And in the extended IT team, 200 people that's supporting and managing all the projects and application. We have extended architect there, the solution architect and the DBA is all working respectively on their own application, right? You need people focus subject matter expert in particular application. We also have somebody who's across the board to look at the things, right? So challenges in the earlier days, of course, we do have a standardization of a diagram training. We say that every time your proposal will need to have this couple of diagram, and that is the viewpoint. This is the viewpoint, this is the vision viewpoint, and the kind of things we have that. So initial transformation definitely is there. Of course, if you put together a good change management with the training and hand holding, so throughout the time people will not have the issues. Later we'll say that if you don't have this, then you don't come for review and approval. That's about it. But if you say in the market, even Bank Negara has adopted this in the recent year to adopt their own enterprise architecture framework. And in the 2 years back, I think 2 years back, Central Bank Negara also issued a new IT risk management in IT in technology. So the guideline, the document also say that the banks need to have a EA framework, enterprise architecture framework in place. It's only one of the items is called we need have to have an enterprise architecture framework in place. And of course, they have a lot of other things as well. So EA practice is getting more into general acceptable. So the challenges that people, the business side and everything else is not really there. Of course, there are still a lot of companies that asking why you need to have this and that, but I think whether you want to spend time to educate them or you just go for work for somebody that appreciates the value, depends what kind of role you are in. If you are joined as a C level and you found that the company you just joined as a CTO or CIO, there's no enterprise architecture there. You can't even find any diagram of the 20, 30 system you have. You have no clue what is going on in your shop, and the best thing is you ask the people is still there. They have not resigned yet. So that is the best time that you need to have somebody in, establish the baseline and all these necessary documentation. Otherwise, just like you try to drive a vacation from KL to Penang. If you're driving a car that's without dashboard, you don't know how fast you're going, you don't have a direction, where is the north and south, you don't have all these gauge meter, you don't know how much petrol you have. So are you confident that in 4 hours or in 3 hours you can reach Penang without all this information? Cannot. So all this enterprise architecture, the diagram and all these things is actually helping you, give you a dashboard, a guidance of achieving certain things. So when you can confidently tell your management that with all this information, I know where I'm going, where we are going. Then only we can know that exactly we are 50% on the way, 100% on the way, right? And you say your company don't even have all this diagram and information and people with the knowledge, and you say I want to go to crowd. So what are you trying to bring to the crowd? We know nothing and just go there. Then I guess you're just making things difficult, right? So on the other side, you can see that there's also an industry standard called Banking Industry Architecture Network. This is also what we have in the banking industry that people slowly adopt, not getting common, acceptable, but not absolute there yet. So what they focus is they don't tell you what is the IT and things that how it's about. They are more focusing on Okay. It's more looking at it. You can't see the details there, right? But what I'm trying to tell you that this is telling that in a general banking industry landscape, what kind of capabilities that is offering, right? Capabilities in the way that you need to have saving account, current account, fund transfer, deposit, um, credit card, cost channel, ATM, mobile banking, all these is kind of capabilities, right? So the whole landscape document down all kind of business capability that a banking company should have, but not necessarily you need to have all. So if you say that, okay, this is the total landscape, and my bank is only have certain things here, you can highlight those things, bring your own repository, then you know that, okay, in what area that the bank is providing the services to, right? We only doing this part, we doing that part, but we're not offering foreign exchange or that kind of thing. So you can, from this capabilities model, you can look at that, and then we will link the business will look at this capability so they know that the whole bank or your department or your division, what you are offering, what you are not. And then you might have the same model for different countries. In Malaysia, we have this, but yeah, in Malaysia, we have the other things because different market you might offering different things, right? And different market you might in different size. Malaysia, we have 300, 400 branches, or Singapore, we only have one or two, right? So the offering is really different. So it's different capability is there. And from the capabilities, we usually map down to what is the IT application and things that we are providing. So you can see that, okay, if we have a loan origination system, we're offering a loan, but what kind of loan that we're offering, automotive, mortgage, um, non-mortgage, or what kind of loan, business loan, that kind of things. And you say that underneath is which system that we are providing, the system, the vendor is from who is the vendor that provide the system, how we maintain, do you have a end of sales, end of life for the system. You need to support all these things to make sure that your version of the operating system and databases is not go out of control to that refresh it from time to time. So all this information is required so that we can keep what we have in our hand and keep it up to date. Doesn't matter whether you're in IT or in business because the business nowadays rely on the system and application to provide the service. So if the system is down, they are equally headache. System down, the business guy is the first one facing the customer. Petronas will be calling them, LHDA calling them, why the thing is not going on and why it's not working right. So there's banking industry that are looking at this, and one of the key things I want to share is that for guys that not even in IT or in IT, the capability model is what we are focusing. So for non-IT, not the technical people, it's also something that become a keyword that we want to talk about capabilities model, capability maturity models.
Awesome. So next up, Eric, I would like to talk about the current competition which is out there. Now, there are many fintech startups out there, such as Touch and Go, Stashaway, and these are providing, very stiff competition to, financial services. So, and the related businesses to financial services. So, how do you think an effort like enterprise architecture will give you a better advantage, a competitive advantage in this situation, all right, to cope with this upcoming increasing competition?
I think the audience here is all like students and haven't joined the task force. Maybe I want to change the question a bit lah. So
Mhm.
what will make you relevant and get hired for jobs, right? So even I am the enterprise architect now. If I'm going to look out for new role or new job, right? Um, at now, of course, last year MCO there's not a lot of people hiring, but now if you say go out to market, the key the key hiring, the key market demand is really on cloud. So if you are listening to me now and if you plan to join IT, you can just straight away go into any cloud-related, public cloud-related certification and knowledge, things like Google Cloud, Azure, and AWS. Just jump into those things, get your hand into how to build application using pure cloud way of doing things, cloud database, and BigQuery, and machine learning, AI, all these things. That's the area that people hiring because now a lot, I think 80%, 90% of the company, they all want to do the transformation, digital transformation, all want to move to the cloud. Only the banks face some challenges that need to report to central bank and get that clearance, and that is also not really an issue now. A couple of years ago, it might be an issue, but now it's not. So if you're in the industry that's not governed by Bank Negara, any other industry like telco and anything else, you are probably with the crowd. So what lacking now is actually the talent and knowledge, the people that can actually do the work on helping the company moving to the crowd, right? So if I want to hire or you want to come to look for a job, there will be a lot of job offering and hiring purely really on crowd, Google Cloud, AWS, Azure. You just go into that area, then your employability is sky high, right? But again, whether that is the future of your career or not, that one is hard to say. No one saying that in IT you must be architect and only you can tell him right. There must be a lot of other things to do. So I can say equally project manager role, project director role is also very in demand. If you run a project that's a 50 million, 100 million, you need a strong project manager to be able to run the program, to address to the timeline and all these things. So, and of course, you see, if you are C-level and the CTO, CIO level, you need to have good people handling skill set and things like that. Of course, besides skill, you also need to have some relationship, otherwise you will land into those kind of places. So I would say that you have to see architect is maybe sometimes we say it's an individual contributor kind of a role. You might not have people report to you, but you work with a lot of people because you have a lot of knowledge and experience. And then people maybe just push for you to make decisions. They want to make decisions. Everything go and ask the TA to do the work, right? So come back to the question just now on the fintech and other banks. If you from the banking industry, yes, the big dinosaur like Maybank and CIMB, we do have a lot of legacy and baggage that a lot of system is there. They're for a reason. It's just like you have your old grandmother all running there. You cannot just unplug and pull all the power and let them die, right? And then where's all your customer? You have to answer the customer, right? So the fintech, everyone, they do not have this problem, but slowly when they get the license, they grow into the size and they are under governance and things. All these things will come into pictures. You can't run away. It's just that you are delaying the pain process. Why the bank has to do so much thing and so troublesome, so slow in process? And people try to blame the things because you're running mainframe old system, but there's only one parcel of the things. There's a lot of things is slow in process and things, governance, under audit, under compliance. All these things is there for necessary reasons, right? So only thing maybe we can try to speed up is that moving things to the cloud is that you can less, you have a higher reliable IT infrastructure on cloud. You can try to build application more reliable and faster using CI/CD. That kind of thing you can start to transform and go into that area. But if you say that can the bank get rid of audit, project reporting, central bank reporting, compliance, no, I think that one you cannot run away. That kind of thing is always there. You just have to see how you handle it. You can say, can I skip it? Why you guys when external people come and join the bank, they say that why the bank so troublesome, have so much thing to do. But if you ask yourself, those things are necessary because of certain reason, right? It's because of risk, because that the protection to our shareholder and also the depositor, you and me, the money we put inside there, that is a reason for that. No one want to running a thing hanky-panky, tomorrow your money all get security. Because we want to do things fast, but we want to save the money, don't want to spend the money. So that's why things happen. So that cannot be happen stuff. So we see the challenger of the fintech people come in. They might offering the idea and think fast, but when things grow in size, I would believe underlying things is still pretty much the same. Like just that you talk about the good thing about them, but the bad thing that you see, right?
Amazing. So, Eric, just off my head, I'm thinking, since I'm always into measuring return on investment on effort. Say, I want to implement, I want to introduce this role in an organization, enterprise architect. How do I measure the output of this work? How can I justify having a role like this within my organization?
It's hard. It's hard. that's why it's hard. That one is as same as why you need to pay the high salary for the CEO and the CIO. Why you are paying the money to having the auditor there and go and check you and give you all the pay, why you having the project manager or your supervisor sitting there ask you do this, do that, and he also not doing anything, right? So all this come into the picture is that is somehow check and balance is one of them. Governance is also one of them. If you don't have check and balance, then you will do things that the way you want, and that will always cause problem, right? And the value is that when, for example, when a team come into a proposal and they say they want to implement these things, we ask that, okay, how about the other product that the bank is already using? Have you evaluated that? Why you throw away something that we are using that 3 years ago you just implemented the same thing? Now you say you want to change the things already, right? How about this comparing to the one that we have in Singapore using? So if you do not have all this information and you are not like myself, I governance and oversee the approval paper that every year come in. So I have the visibility on those things. So when they come, I am able to challenge them, and because I know what's happening, right? So we'll ask them. So all these things is something that you have to answer. If not, then I will just you have to go back and do the things. It's not like the bank money you can just spend in the way that you want to spend. So in this process that we are able to spending the money smarter and right and also make more sense, right? We ask you if you want to spend this thing, then I say that this business capability is no longer going on. Just like say that someone want to spend 50 million on check machine or a check solution, and we know that the check is sunset business, right? You no one printing check already, no one is signing on check and depositing a check and pay money. Everything moved to online already. So if somebody come to you and say that I want to spend 50 million on check solution, then this proposal will need to be heavily scrutinized in order to approve, because you are investing on something that is there's no future and no sunset. So there must be a very strong reason for those things. So oversee all these things in governance, and that is only part and parcel of the governance and overseeing the things, right? We haven't talked about innovation. We also going into innovation. We also adopting with new things like eKYC, facial recognitions. You want to try to open your new bank account without going to branch because COVID, they want to go to branch, right? So how do we open new bank account with the BPM? So just your face and then things, right? Also new technology with API, how to integrate with the ecosystem partner like Lazada and all these people, Food Panda. So there's a lot of things that also on the innovation side of it. So it's also benefit from how we know our shop better and able to do that job, the new innovation coming. So it come in many ways. One is the offering new innovation and new solutions. The other one is also on safeguarding the money, and another one is also keep the thing up and running. So you make sure the thing is with a proper design. We might not be taking care of the system ourselves, but we make sure that whatever come for approval and the design itself is up to certain quality, so that whoever building it is will be of the quality, so that we are safer when we come to the system reliability and things like that. Not just everything with the problems, right? So all these hands in hand will be able to justify, I think, the value of this, because we are basically also the trusted advisor to the business, and also we are the left hand, right hand, work together with the big boss. You imagine there's still a lot of IT people just purely programming. They are too busy with the day in, day out job, keep the system running and things like that. So they also need us to be there to do some other things, right? They have no time to think about strategy thinking and stuff like that.
Okay, excellent. Now, I want to talk about a little bit about the human element in digital transformation. Yeah. Now, the human element seems to be very important in networking and also building stronger relationships. Yeah. Uh, what is your take on this, and how do you think being an enterprise architect, brings about this culture of placing the human element, the professionalism, being a professional banker from your perspective?
Um, Definitely, being professional banker and also from the enterprise architecture, we do have the key, what we call key principle of or key ethic of doing things, right? So as a professional banker, you have to doing the bank sustain. You don't want to do business with taking money or doing business or giving loan or deposit take from the people with the crime and terrorism and that kind of thing. So there's no right. So also how do we sustain and have the things? There's this whole sustainability thing going on. Professional banker, we also been trained as knowing, even IT people we go for professional banker, we also get trained on basic principle of what is lending, what is marketing, what is the international uh, business and things like that, right? Fund transaction financing and all these things. So it's about also knowing the business, so that we can appreciate the value and also have a conversation. We talk the same topic, with the business side.
Yeah. So,
So when we're talking about the human part of it and things, is definitely we influence a lot to the extended architect and the IT people, because we say that I mean, as a consultant and people or manager before, we always want to tell people you should be doing this because the reason why is a very noble thing to do, and this is the right thing to do. And actually, this before you complain a lot about this, this is actually only spending a little effort of your time. And by the way, you have to draw the diagram already, right? You just in your own visual, the way that you want to draw. But now I say that you don't draw the way you want, you just follow certain standard with the training. Then everyone have the same way of doing things. It's actually good. So I guess a lot of brainwashing and encouragement and things are soft skill also need to put into practice. Of course, if you're very strong, you can just tell people to do it or you die. But I don't think we all have that kind of power. We have to everyone work together. You help me, I help you. You don't know, one day maybe you come for a proposal, I will just reject it because you don't talk right. So all in, there's also a lot of human work. Although we are individual contributor, but we spend a lot of time with other people to work with. For example, when we come for a proposal for review, In the community, we have IT security people, we have infrastructure people, we have EA people, we have database, we have operation people. Make sure that all angle is covered before it's too late.
Awesome. So, just to share some statistics, Eric, there's a research that shows there's a failure rate, okay, of startups around 90%, yeah? And most of it, 21.5% actually happens in the first year, 30% of it, higher than that in the second, and 50% happens in the fifth year. Yeah. In your opinion, right, as being like an advice for our students as well who have intentions of building their own, do you think there is anything, a role like an enterprise architecture can contribute in avoiding and reducing the chances of failure in a startup?
Um, I think chances of failure of startup, this is like, even last time when I was working with Alibaba, when Alibaba in China, they invest in 10 different initiatives. You know, they expect 9 will be failed, if one pull out, it will be another Alipay, Taobao already, right? So failure is definitely high. Even that setting is correct, you have 30, even you talk to the fintech people that is they are doing incubating new startup, cohort having 30 to 40 of them a year. They only maybe seeing 10%, couple of them without the other one will be fail, right? So I think my take is that if you, I mean, of course, for now that if you're doing startup, I think better you do it as early as possible, as early as possible, because the question is you're going to spend 1 year, 2 years, 100% dedicated effort of doing the job, and you will be expecting no salary, right? So it's very hard for people like you and me that is have a house and car and kids to commitment to handle. But if you
Exactly.
are young, you just finish off the school, 2 years, no problem. I can just write the program because I stay with my father and I just need water and food only. But a parent is going to give you lah because you're still young, right? And they are still can afford. So not something that when you are 40 something, then you at this age of doing the startups, better to be early lah. Later you have commitment, it's very hard to do. So for now is that even that people talking about why go and spend the money on doing a degree, that money also why don't I just go and do a startup, spend the money and do it. My return of investment and experience gain from doing my startup with the interaction with the investor, customer, and things like that is I think far more better than you spending the 3 years in a degree program, which is debatable. But I don't disagree. I don't disagree. Um, and I think also in terms of the nature of fintech is definitely that's the case. But for yourself, I think I mean for corporate when we talk about project failure, usually is that they too aggressive on certain goal, a project that is too big a scope and everyone put everything inside that. So that's where the concept of being agile, doing incremental requirement and build that come into picture. So we have to look at what the short-term goal before we go into big project. So some banks also now doing agile method, looking at incremental wave one, wave two, wave three, wave four to look for certain things. So it's all pretty much on the project management methodologies, things like that. So that can be employed. Last time people tried to build the highway tower and want to build the things, but a bit difficult kind of.
Awesome. So, just to share, Eric, we have some questions from the floor. Yeah, so I'm just going to read out the first question to you. So, what are the key concepts of enterprise architecture and which is the most important part? We have from Xin Ying Ping.
I think EA enterprise architecture we don't really have a key concept. Key concept can be because different app got different things, right? The reference architecture for a mobile app, web app, big data, AI, all these things have a different things. But as a EA we do have the enterprise architecture principle, discipline and principle. Right, a principle is definitely in a way of aligning IT with business. It's a golden triangle: the time, the money, and the things to do the work. So it's definitely there's nothing right or wrong, but the key is definitely how to achieve certain goal in a certain time frame with certain money, and that's where we uh, make the decision at the time, right? So if you say we want to do certain thing now, it's because that we have certain constraint, time, money, and what we try and do. And we, based on that, we say that this has to be delivered in this year, and that's where the decision was made on. Because this is a principle that we want to make a decision on. If not, a couple of years later, someone want to open the book again and say that why you make a decision that time and the thing is not working and things like that. That's a principle of how we do things. There's no perfect situation and things that has to be a reason. So then we do have that principle. There's no don't go for, and also don't go for perfect design and perfect architecture because that might never pull off. Because I think the company, the bosses also pay you the money to do certain things. So we cannot be drawing the thing. We are not Picasso drawing anything forever. We are just making sure the things is working because of the constraint. If the business say I don't have money to put a PR, so we just need to write out the risk and how to mitigate the risk and move on, right?
So, being flexible is important. Yeah.
Flexible is there, but people might complain that you're too flexible. But we do have to say that we have the principle. The principle is how to measure on the outcome, time, and money. Boss cannot say, I don't want to give you money, I want to high quality of the system. I say, there got such thing, you go and do it yourself.
True. Okay, we have another question from Flo. Uh, Sir, I'm actually curious about where the money goes that we save in our bank account. Did the bank use it to invest or give loans?
I think, okay, we are not talking about the recent issues of the that is not for me to comment. But I think this is a generic financial institute question, banking questions. The bank is taking in deposit, your saving, your fixed deposit account, right? And the deposit money deposited in has different time frame. They have free flow, they have 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, or multiple year, and you might be investing in buying certain bonds, and that become we offering, and we give you certain interest rate, right, 3%, and then in a way that we lend this money to people taking loan, business loan, right, a car loan, house loan, and then we take the interest from them. So the key profit model from the bank is to take in deposit uh, and then lend to people, and then we make the difference from the spread. And also there's other things that, of course, foreign exchange. We offering you this forex. Buy and sell. We wait for the trade. The trade, certain percentage of it, or certain sense of it as a fee of doing things. And international trade financing, we help them to do a settlement and payment. So we also charge a fee on those things, right? And of course, when we say that when we take the money from you, it's also we don't open any account just for fun open up. You know that nowadays that you go to the bank and open bank account, they will scrutinize and ask you very details. Who you are, especially if you're a foreigner, they will ask you why you open the account. not so simple now. You want to open account, just open, right? They need to know why you need to have that and what's the reason. Is for deposit money or what is the purpose? And the same thing when we go for the lending the money to people, they also very tough process to go through. Who is these people? Are they terrorists or not? Are they under investigation or not? Have they passed the secrecy laws or not? All these things we check before we making. Also, whether they can uh, repay the loan or not. So all these things we'll be looking at. Right? So definitely it's a banking 101 questions. Take deposit in and then lend to people to collect the interest. That's where the bank makes money.
Excellent. I have learned so much about enterprise architecture from you, Eric, in the last 55 minutes. It's been an amazing exposure, for us to know about this role and how important it is, and how we can actually take things further within an organization and integrate being an enterprise architecture with several other areas within an organization. So, is there anything that you would like to share and advise our students moving forward, who are going to be employed very soon?
I've lost track on what the bank, the school is offering, what subject you guys are doing already. But like I say just now, here the demand is all about to the crowd, right? So, uh, but part-wise come into two parts, whether you are the implementer, the technical guy, the one doing the lift and shift, writing program, things like that. That's one thing. But being project manager and being business analyst is equally important. I mean, we can see that there's also uh, the IT guy, the programmer rely on that to do with business and know the business flow and be able to document the business process. Then without business process and without all these things, no one will be able to write a correct program, right? So don't understand. Although today the topic is enterprise architecture, I think, but the various role of people is all important. IT from the CIO, CTO to the EDA to system administrator, everyone is equally important. But I think the focus is just how to move to the crowd. But if you say you are going to join the task force today market, you go and interview, don't be surprised. There's still a lot of brick and mortar things still there. Like what we saw 20 years ago, maybe it's still there. I think the system, everything is still the same.
All right. Thank you very much, Eric, for your time and sharing today. We really appreciate your presence. And thank you to all viewers from APU and from everywhere. Thank you very much. This is Mira Iswaran signing off. Thank you. Thank you very much. And please scan the QR code that will be shared shortly by our marketing team for you to obtain your certificates for the session. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.